Yeah, for sure. But nonetheless, let me get to the okay. So I wanted to get into Keyshawn Davis, right? Because we were there, me and Pops. We made the drive to Virginia. First time in Virginia. So shout out to everybody from Norfolk. Everyone that we met in Norfolk was just amazing. Norfolk was very, very cool. I liked Norfolk. It was a cool time. I'll probably go visit Norfolk again because I really enjoyed my time there. But the Keyshawn Davis fight with Nahir Albright was underwhelming. It was effective. It wasn't like he was in trouble. It wasn't like the outcome of the fight was ever in doubt. Albright didn't have as much success counterpunching Keyshawn Davis in the rematch as he did in the first fight. He didn't have that same success he had in the back half against Frank Martin either, right? Albright was, in my opinion, I thought Albright very early in this fight, he made a decision that he was going to be crafty, he was going to survive, he was going to hold, he was going to clinch, and that's what it was going to be. And he just didn't have enough with him to deal with Keyshawn Davis in a rematch, right? But let's call a spade a spade. And you guys know I'm not no massive Devin Haney fan, right? A lot of people have accused me of being a Devin Haney hater at particular points in this channel's history. But what I saw from Keyshawn Davis in that fight is not going to be enough if he is to go to 147 and fight Devin Haney. And pretty much all of us think that he's going to go to 47 at some point soon because he missed weight again at 140 pounds, and he just got here, and he's a big guy, right? So say what you want about Devin Haney. You could say Devin Haney's boring. You could say Devin isn't this, Devin isn't that. But one thing Devin Haney definitely is he's very experienced. All right, he's experienced. He's seen a lot of different styles. He's definitely going to have some confidence. He got his confidence back, beating Brian Norman Jr. in a very, very big fight, one of the biggest fights of 2025. He's very sharp down the middle. And if nothing else about Devin Haney, while you could sit here and say that Keyshawn Davis is the more dynamic offensive fighter, because I think he is. I think anybody with 2 eyes or 4 eyes like me can see that Keyshawn Davis is the more offensively dynamic fighter. It may not matter because really and truthfully, Devin Haney is the one thing. Devin Haney's best trait, when for the most part, apart from the Ryan Garcia fight, I would say Devin Haney's best trait is that Devin Haney, he knows himself, he knows his strengths, he knows his weaknesses, and he fights to his strengths as much as he possibly can. Most of the time, apart from the Ryan Garcia fight, Devin Haney does not get caught up in trying to please me, trying to please you, or trying to please the crowd or the fans. He fights in a way that's very poised, mature, professional, sharp down the middle, and boxes you behind a nice, educated jab. That's what he does. And when you fight Devin Haney, you got to be focused. You have to have a certain level of maturity. And you have to, and if you don't, like Brian Norman Jr. showed in their fight, you can pay. And I'll tell you this, Keyshawn Davis, I saw him not switched on in this Albright rematch. He was taunting a lot. He was showboating a lot. And maybe that's just because he realized that he's more talented than Albright, right? He was streaming most of this camp for the fight, and he missed weight. Maybe he does tighten it up for Devin Haney because Devin Haney is on a higher level than Albright. He's got a higher pedigree, bigger name. He probably mentally gets up for that fight more. But I'll tell you this, missing weight, just not being dialed in when you're in the ring. And not even just that, even if he is dialed in, I mean, Devin Haney has been in there with a lot of high-level fighters in the pros. Lomachenko, Brian Norman Jr., even going to Australia 2 times to fight a guy like George Kambosos, who people don't regard highly, but still that experience of being on the road in non-favorable circumstances, that has definitely given Devin Haney a lot of confidence and experience like Keyshawn Davis doesn't have in the pros. So my thing is, if you really want to fight Devin Haney, which Keyshawn Davis has said it many, many times, because we know he ain't gonna fight Shakur. We've hashed that out enough times. If you're serious about fighting a guy like Devin Haney, you need to come to the ring a lot more mature of a fashion. Otherwise, it's not going to work out. It really ain't. And from the Devin Haney side of things, I wanted to speak about, and I guess I'll go to screenshot. I wanted to speak about why this fight makes sense for Devin Haney right now. And by the way, if you guys haven't seen it, this is Keyshawn Davis right here. I had a chance to see Keyshawn Davis after the fight briefly. And I pretty much told him that, Debo is coming for him because that's what Devin Haney said on Twitter. He's like, who is that? And he had a little bit to say there, and we had some fun, and that's going crazy on Twitter. And by the way, go follow me on Twitter at True School Sports if you don't already. I'll be on there talking crazy, having fun, interacting with boxing fans. It's a great way to get a hold of me. But Devin Haney said, look, Debo is coming for Keyshawn, as you guys can see right there. And I want to get into why I think it makes a lot of sense for Devin Haney to fight Keyshawn Davis right now, because when you talk about Keyshawn Davis, first of all, he is a former world champion. He's undefeated. So you fight a guy like him now on the record, that's a O. And we know that Devin Haney loves to fight guys with good records, right? That's a O on his resume. If he beats Keyshawn Davis, that puts him in a position where now Shakur Stevenson might feel more enticed to fight Devin Haney at 47 because, kind of like what's going on with O'Shaquie Foster. Shakur Stevenson, for good, bad, or indifferent, has a lot of boxing brothers. One of them is Raymond Ford. The other one is Keyshawn Davis. So, if you can beat one of his boxing brothers, then common sense says that maybe you could entice Shakur Stevenson to get in the ring with you, right? And Keyshawn Davis, I give him his due. Olympic silver medalist, a lot of amateur experience, only 15 fights in the pros. Has always fought, guys a bit ahead of schedule, and he's packed a lot into those 15 fights. I feel like he's gotten good experience in those 15 fights. A lot of Olympians and awkward styles and counter punchers and a couple former world champions, a couple former world title challengers, things like that. I think he has enough experience to step in the ring with Devin, but does he have enough maturation? See, with Keyshawn Davis, I'm not questioning his talent level. I'm not even questioning the experience level, even with 15 fights. My question with Keyshawn Davis is maturation. Will Keyshawn Davis stay out of his own way long enough to be and realize and become all he can become in boxing? Because when he's dialed in, like that last fight against Ben Ortiz, you guys seen it. He's a magnificent boxer puncher. He does have an educated jab. And then when he has you hurt, he knows how to close the show, right? And a lot of those things were lacking this weekend, but we've gotten glimpses into what Keyshawn Davis can be. So we'll see. Another interesting thing about Keyshawn Davis is the fact that, if you fight Devin Haney, you're not going to be fighting somebody that's like smaller than you, right? Because Keyshawn Davis is big for 135. He was bigger than Baranchyk. He was bigger than a guy like Pedraza. He won't be significantly bigger than Devin Haney, and even for Haney, right? Because people that don't like Devin Haney, they're always very adamant that Devin Haney only beats much smaller guys. So that's kind of the interesting storyline of it too. But if I'm Devin Haney, and I know Bill Haney's one of the best managers in boxing. I've always given Bill Haney his proverbial flowers as a manager. If Bill Haney sees something, which like if he sees what I'm seeing, and who am I to tell Bill Haney? Bill Haney's done a great job building this up to this point. But if you were ever going to fight Keyshawn Davis, if it was really ever a serious ambition of yours to get that name on your resume, I think right now is the time to fight him, because if you let Keyshawn Davis get a fight or two or three more, however many more, it's going to be a lot more difficult, I wouldn't even let Keyshawn Davis get a fight at 47. Like, let Keyshawn Davis come to 47. I think people will look at. I think enough people will pick Keyshawn Davis and give him a chance to where if Devin Haney beats him, he's going to get a lot of credit. And then boom, you got back-to-back young, undefeated Black American fighters on your resume. Which, let's be real, a lot of guys ain't doing that in boxing today, fighting young, undefeated Black American fighters, right? So to get two of them on your resume back-to-back, that'd be something for Devin Haney, a feather in his cap, and the kind of win that would really push him up a couple spots on that pound-for-pound list. Getting an Olympic silver medalist, former world champion, undefeated guy like Keyshawn Davis on his resume. So I feel like the time is now. I don't think he should drag his feet. I don't think Devin Haney should fight a voluntary or meaningless fight. Unless Devin Haney is gonna fight like a unification fight, which I'd highly doubt, because I've heard rumblings in the boxing world that, we might just get Rolly versus Ryan next. So if that's true, those two of the champions aren't available. And then you have Lewis Crocker, who's scheduled to fight Liam Parle, right? And then even if he wins that, they got the big Paddy Donovan rematch in Ireland that's available. So my thing is, we're in a situation where a lot of the welterweight division is busy. You know, a lot of these guys either aren't available or they're busy. And so if you're Devin Haney and you're looking to make a big fight, which I know he is, because love him or hate him, Devin Haney has always been willing to make big fights. His resume proves that. You don't gotta like the guy or be a fanboy to acknowledge what's painfully obvious in front of your eyes. Keyshawn Davis would qualify as a big fight. I know there's been rumblings about him versus Shakur on Zuffa, and maybe that will happen. But if that's not true, if they're not going to fight, the time is now for him and Keyshawn, honestly. And you know what? I'll say it like this. Maybe that could even be your last fight at 47. We know Devin Haney's talked about going to 54 for Xander, but I just think it makes a lot of sense right now. So I want to know what you guys think. Am I tripping? Do you see a future where Devin Haney could fight Keyshawn Davis right now, next? No messing about. What do you guys think? I don't think it's the biggest fight he can get, but if what I'm hearing is true to the boxing world, that if we're going to get the Ryan versus Rolly rematch next, then that means that Devin Haney's biggest option is not available, right, with Ryan. So in the meantime, go fight Keyshawn. If Ryan does his thing against Rolly, then that's 2 belts. You got a belt, so that's the 3-belt unification fight rematch. And then, you know, that will be there. If not, then you can go to 54. Go fight somebody at 54. You know, go try to become, what would that be? What, a 4-division champion? You know, that would give you more pound for pound status in the sport. So yeah, I'm with all that. But anyway, let me go ahead. Let me go ahead and run through some of these comments, because I know I see a lot of you guys in the chat. So shout out to my guy right here. He says, shout out to Pops for the question. We don't need the brothers. Yeah, we don't need no boxing brothers. We need guys. We need the best fighters in the world in and around each other's weights to be willing to fight each other. You know, that's what it is. You can still be friends. I mean, Maurice Blocker and Simon Brown were friends, and they fought a war. You know, did I see that Pusha T has went to the fight? Yeah, I saw him there. That was pretty cool. I'm a big fan of Pusha T and the clips. I grew up listening to them. So that was pretty cool to see. Albright has been a durable fighter, so I knew it was going the distance. Yep, pretty much. I mean, that was my prediction. I thought Keyshawn would win on points, which he did. I pretty much hit on all my predictions. I thought Keyshawn would win on points. I thought Brian Nolan would blast out Josh Wagner pretty fast, and I thought that Kelvin Davis would win a very controversial decision against Pete Dobson, and that happened too. So, yeah. Hey BT, what's your predictions on the boxing business in a post-Saudi world? Well, I've been pretty adamant about that. I pretty much said, look, you know, when the Saudis were doing the super cards and they was throwing all that money at people, I told y'all that was a moment in time, and inevitably they were going to have a period where they scaled back their investment, which they're doing now with Zuffa Boxing coming into the fold, because Zuffa Boxing is now the Saudis and Zuffa have a partnership. The Saudis are putting 60% of Zuffa Boxing. Zuffa handles the other 40% of the investment. I've been saying that boxing is going to go through a period where the market has to correct itself. I don't think we're quite at that stage yet, but we're getting there as the months progress. So I think inevitably the promoters in America are going to have to start working together more, which you're seeing because of all the promoters being on the zone. And I think you're going to start seeing more fights happen, because if they don't do that, then they can't survive. They can't stay afloat. Haney's best trait is weaponized drug testing. That's what everybody says, but you said it, champ, not me. And I'll leave it at that. Keyshawn under Womack was a monster. The current Keyshawn is so lackluster with his new team. He's very tentative now, throwing power shots. It's mainly just jabs downstairs, placing shots to score. I liked Keyshawn with Womack. We'll see how he develops. Maybe he needs more time with his new team, but yeah, so far it hasn't been the best. Key seems to be cloud chasing the big names, but it seems like he's actually looking to fight Duarte or Pitbull. I like the Duarte fight. My thing is, like, if he's going to stay at 440 pounds, I think the Duarte fight makes a ton of sense. Oscar Duarte is a legitimate contender. You know, Duarte's fought Ryan Garcia, gave him some tough moments in their fight. He beat Kenneth Sims Jr. when Kenneth Sims Jr. was on a big win streak and was one of the top contenders of the division. And he signed to fight Hitchens, who's one of the best pure boxers in and around these weights. But that fight didn't happen because Hitchens he did what he did. So if that fight were to happen next, I love that fight. I think that would give us a good insight into Keyshawn Davis's durability. Yes, he's fought Mexican fighters, like he fought Miguel Madueña, which he himself cites as his biggest fight. But I would say Duarte's at a higher level. Duarte's a legitimate contender. Madueña was more of like a tough gatekeeper type guy. Shout out to Pac-Man. He says, "What up, BT? I think Keyshawn has the potential to be a pound talent, but he doesn't seem to be living up to it. I think he gets in his own way too much sometimes. His fault sometimes, not his fault. I just think Keyshawn Davis, like a lot of people in life, not just boxing, have a hard time handling success, and I think he's had a lot of expectations placed on him from a young age." And I don't think he's fully learned how to deal with that yet. And that's a process that every fighter has to go through when they start winning. But yeah, I hope he figures it out, because I'm a big Keyshawn Davis fan. I think he has a lot of potential to be a superstar beyond just boxing, because respect to Shakur, respect to Devin, respect to a lot of these young guys. But Keyshawn Davis has a certain way. The way he engages with people, just his charisma, his personality. I think he has something about him. He's got that it factor that could transcend just the hardcore boxing community. So I'm genuinely rooting for the kid. I really am. That win would make Devin Haney damn near the face of boxing. Well, there you go. I feel like that's a fight that Bill Haney would have entertained.